going to do is I'm going to go a little quick through just vibe coding. Does anyone have experience in vibe coding? Or it's kind of a new. Okay. Well, since this session is a little bit more on building something, I'm going to just go through kind of the basics of vibe coding. I'm going to go a little quicker. If you want the slides, the full slides, they are there on the QR code. I could put them up for you again. I won't go too fast, but I just want to make sure that we have the All right, so vibe coding, creating software through natural conversation. So I'll just tell you a little bit about my story, how I got into AI and vibe coding. I'm excited about this class because we're all K to 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a third grade teacher, so I kept asking everybody, what grade do you teach? Like, high school. We're in high school. But anyway, so I started teaching, this will be my 4th year teaching third grade. I got my teaching cert, alternate route in 2010, did my student teaching and then did something completely different. So when I started teaching, I came in the middle of the year, and I definitely had the imposter syndrome teaching and felt very insecure about a lot of things I didn't know. So I started getting into AI just to try to make myself a better teacher, you know, asking questions, trying to do things. From there, it kind of evolved into learning how to do some more things, some pictures and some images, trying to make things a little more creative for my third grade students, certain characters and things they like. Which then evolved into vibe coding, where we started to build some of our own websites. We built a few math multiplication video games to try to help them with their math multiplication facts. And then we built NJSLA test prep, since I'd had a meeting and we talked about the new test prep this year, third graders. My first years, I felt like I kind of let my students down. This, you know, experience and stuff, I felt bad. I felt like they weren't really ready. I wanted to try to test. So we had a meeting about this year, and it was changed to be adaptive. So I'll go into a little bit more, but through vibe coding, I was able to create sort of a simulation test for them to get them ready for all those things. So just an example of some of the really cool things that you can do. So vibe coding, you know, the word coding in it is a little misleading because you don't have to know how to code. You don't have to code. You don't need to know any technical terms. You don't need to have to build. You don't need to know how to build a website. It is really just explaining into plain English what you would like to do. Do it building through conversations, describing what you want. We'll get into plain English. There's nothing much more that you need to do. Just a quick history. I won't go this quick, but so as you can see, a super long history of vibe coding going way back to 2021. A company called GitHub, which we used, first came up with the idea. Chatbots in 2022-24 began to explore making code. 2025, as things are getting better, Andre Karpathy of OpenAI sort of coined vibe coding in a interview. It's now part of the dictionary. And then today we've got to the point where you can build websites, test websites, build apps, all sorts of things, host them on your own browser. You can host them through certain things. You can even come up with your own domain names. And you can really, it's really up to the imagination, the creativity, it's really remarkable. When it comes down to AI, it's really, I like to think of it as you're working with your AI editor. They're not a person, but they're sort of like your co-assistant. You're feeding ideas, you're feeding instructions, feedback, and they're building them. And they're looking at it, and then you kind of tweak things, what's working, what's not. Is it the way you wanted it? We'll get more into prompting in a little bit. We're going to go over some things. But these are, Replit AI agent is probably one of the most popular ones. It's a very easy one to start if it's something you're interested in. Today we're going to use Google AI Studios because all you need is a Google account to start using it for free. So I didn't want to make anybody sign up to anything crazier. With Google AI Studios, you can pretty much build almost anything you want. The only time you'll come into having to spend a little money is if you want to actually publish it, deploy it, make an actual website that you might want to share with your kids, which can range from, I think, $12 to $15 a month. It's not, all right, well, a domain name is $12 to $15 a month. Google subscription might be a little more, but the price is not astronomical. You can also build things just for yourself, like lesson plan generators, parent conference generators, notes, all sorts of things. And when you do that, you don't need to publish it. What you do, you can just do right in the which I'll show you. So there's 5 steps to prompting a good prompt and how it works. So you're going to describe to the editor what you want. It builds it. The biggest thing is then you want to test it. The biggest mistake, so I sort of just got into this kind of randomly. My wife, my beautiful wife here, Danielle, was into ChatGPT about 2 years ago, and she said on the couch, I'm like, what are you doing this all the time? She said, I'm on ChatGPT. I said, that's dumb. AI's dumb. We said, what is ChatGPT? And then I looked at it, and it's probably the worst mistake we ever made in our relationship because I'm a very obsessive person, and now I'm building just stuff with it. But I started just making like pictures and videos. I was trying to find some things to engage my kids. But it's just, I've kind of self-taught my stuff, you know, and then taking classes, whatever. I've learned through a lot of trial and error. So when it comes to testing, what I used to do is build something and build it and build it, and then start to play with it. And a lot of things were broken, links didn't work, buttons didn't work. If I needed it to come up with definitions for words for my kids or vocabulary words, it wouldn't come out. One of the biggest mistakes I realized was I started making some interactive quizzes for my students, and all of a sudden we did the first one, and Mr. Leebaw, I'm done with it, because every answer was B, because I didn't thoroughly check it. So, you know, there's things like that. So as good as it is, you need to test it. And what I learned is you really want to test things one step at a time. You know, sometimes when it's first building it, but once you get, even when you get to the first page, which might be your home page, if you want to adjust the colors, if there's things you want, you can always go back and add features, but it'll save you a lot of time and money and patience to start testing things one at a time before you start realizing how much is broken. After you test it, then you refine, you explain to the AI editor what you'd like to change, what might you add, and then eventually, and testing and refining kind of goes back and forth for a while. You know, normally, if you're going to build something quick, normally you're going to test, you're going to refine, you're going to test, and you're going to refine. And eventually, when you're ready to deploy, that's when you could launch it. You can launch it to something that you can share with teachers, you can share with students. If it's something that you wanted to sort of market or maybe sell or do something professional, you could buy a domain name for one of my sites, like Mr. Leebaw Math, like MrLeebawMath.org, and they're run about $8 to $12 a domain name for a whole year. So it's not too bad. All right, so I'm not going to go through these too much because again, I want you to, I want to get to the building. But again, it's just a little more description about the target. Basically, you know, what's the goal, who's it for, the role of the thing. Just going to skip these a little bit. The build. These will be all on the things you want. I just don't want to go over too much of the repetitive slides right now. Polished draft. Launching, and then, so here's a formula for a great prompt. So just, I first said, so today I want you to walk away with something that works pretty well. Normally when you're starting, what I would say is start very small, just an idea, build it. Because I want you to start with something that's really functional, there's a lot of technical words, that's why Danielle got your email. So she's going to send you the link to AI Google Studio. We're just going to have you copy and paste the link. We'll show you how to do it. It's going to build. It takes about 8 to 10 minutes to build. I'll show you it in a little bit. And then from there, you can tweak it. But I just don't want anyone to get bogged down by a lot of that. That's not the type of prompt that you'd want to start with. It's a much more technical prompt, but I'd like everyone to walk away with something. I kept trying to brainstorm how I'm going to do 60 different people from different grades to do something. So I just figured that would be a little easier so you guys could get something that you could at least walk away from. Just a couple things. When you do a prompt, though, you want to put in the main things. Who's it for? What's the purpose? Is it for your students? Is it for you? What's the purpose? Is it to help students, you know, better understand reading comprehension? What's the function? One of the things I built was a thing where students could pick, you know, if they wanted to be a fantasy, what type of character, what was the storyline, who was the antagonist. They would just pick things, pre-selected, and then it would build a story, and then they would start to come up with the different standards that they needed to work on reading comprehension. So just things to sort of get the kids more engaged. And then the look, you know, a lot of times I build something, I don't really love the way it looks. When we use Google AI Studio, once you load it, if you watch it for about a minute or two, they just added a feature which is kind of cool. They'll give you 5 different options of how you might want it to look, so you can select that as it's building. And then some rules. I'll get into this a little more, but a big rule when you're doing this stuff, when you're prompting at least, is I try my best to, well, one is to, you know, you don't want to have anything, any personal information stored. I try for a lot of my websites that just the kids are going to use that I'm not collecting any data on, to no logins, even the Gmail accounts, I don't know if everyone, but the school accounts, I'd rather not use those. It's linked to their names. It's a lot easier for them to just play or to go on whatever it is. I'll show you a little bit of the main site that I kind of built, which had a lot more security in it. But I'd say in doubt, it wouldn't do it. And if you're familiar with FERPA and COPA, great. If you're not, I would get familiar with that. If you're building something just for you, if you're building something just to share with the kids on the smart board, that's fine. But if you're building something that you're going to employ in the classroom and the kids are going to use them on the Chromebooks, you really want to be careful with that stuff. And also you want to clear it with your admin for sure. It's an email. So this is just an idea of what a prompt is. What would be a good prompt? Their purpose, who it's for the elementary school teacher, timer, a little bit more specifics, otherwise it's just gonna give you a straight timer. You want like buttons, 1, 3, 5, 10, perhaps, depending on how your lesson is, what you're scheduling. I know something doing silent reading or something like that. Large visual numbers, once you do it, sometimes you might wanna make it look a little more interesting for the kids. Play sound, and again, no logins or anything like that. This is just gonna be a timer you're gonna use. I had some things for teachers. I started off, there's so many things you can do. I found in my experience, I started building little things, and then, I don't know, I like creativity, and like I said, I'm also very obsessive. I don't have any kids, so this became a lot of my free time, which again, but timers, group generators, rubric builders, tickets, noise meters. But especially in elementary school, there's all sorts of stuff you could build. I built a lot of interactive games just on the smart board where they could come up and do things like pictures and visual things when they're identifying adverbs and kids and different types of things like that. And again, and then for students, more things. I don't know. I like math manipulas a lot, so it was a lot of fun to start to build some games and some other activities like a base 10 where they were just putting in the actual blocks and they could see it as it built visually, and then they would start to do subtractions, flashcards. If we have time, I can quickly show you a science little space thing I did on my computer, or on my website. We're going to skip that for now. I apologize for skipping. I just want to make sure we have enough time. And then the overall, just vibe coding. It's removing the technical things. I feel like a lot of times the word code gets people a little worried, but again, you don't need any type of code or anything like that. Alright, so just a brief thing about, 2 years ago, I didn't know anything about coding or Vibe AI. Like I said, I didn't know anything. Really wasn't until about December when I really got into this stuff and building this stuff. And almost all of it, everything I built was, again, because I felt like an insecure, inexperienced teacher, imposter syndrome. Hadn't student taught over 10 years ago. I was embarrassed to ask teachers questions. I thought they might think I had no idea what I was talking about. So I started building things, for me, to help me. Just real quick, we're going to use Google AI Studios today. If you're interested after this, I would suggest Lovable, Replit. The other two are good too, but those are sort of the best, I think, introductory ones. My personal favorite is Hercules AI app. I've been through dozens of these sites in the last year, but I find that one has the best, smartest. It's the smartest. It can do incredible things like uploading photos of different characters yourself, turning them into actual cartoon characters, all sorts of wild things. And just in general, it functions a lot better. It also lets you plan things out. You'll see with Google AI today, you're going to put a prompt in, and then it's going to do everything. It's going to fix it for you. And then if you want to make changes, you'll tell something like Hercules app, and I believe Emergent, before it does anything, it'll ask you questions, which is great because the more information you can give to the AI, the more accurate it's going to be for you, which will save you time and money and patience. Okay, a couple other tools I use for images and things. I'm familiar with ChatGPT, but if you are building something and you want to add images to it, you can use ChatGPT or Gemini. If you want to add videos to something you do, you can use something. You can use Grok. All these things you can then upload into the AI editor for the most part, and they will add them to your websites for different features. So the first, so I'm not gonna get into some. So basically, first few things I did, I failed miserably. I tried to build a multiplication game for my students, like a video game, and I built it for a week, and I did one little thing, and the entire thing broke, and I couldn't do it. So then I built it again for another week, and it broke, and I was very sad. Finally, I got into some better stuff. And then I had a meeting, I guess in January, February, about the new NJSLA test and how it's adaptive. And I don't know, as the meeting, I just started getting ideas because I was so excited. What if I could do, I think I mentioned this, right, with the students, what if I could do something? So that led to what first was an NJSLA app. So the first thing it did is I vibe coded sort of a bunch of different simulation ideas for how the kids could go on there and how they could practice the test using Cambium simulation, doing a lot of research. I had to research how the adaptive program would work with flag. I wanted to try to, again, not really understanding exactly how to teach the test. I wanted them to at least know how the test was going to kind of look, how it was going to kind of feel, the question types. So it started like this, your basic kind of thing. This is the first draft I made, just asking a few questions. Then we added things that are a little bit more like on the test, dragging things down, some more things that they'll see. From there, it turned into this after I changed the logo, which looks a lot more like the real test. And it was great because I got a sense for it. I don't know if you guys, I know third grade, the flag thing was different this year. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that. So if they didn't know an answer, they still had to answer it before they could move on, which is confusing. So it was great to have them practice. If they don't know the answer, they guess they can flag it. So then when they're done with the 20 questions, there's a screen, and anyone that's flagged, they can go back to and double check their answers.
Flag, right?
Yes, that's how the flag works. So because of that, they can go back. So I was excited to teach them how to do that. And then this was just, some stuff we did, questions. And then, I got a lot of my information from build something like this that just, to me, looks a lot smoother, was easier for the kids. I think one of the things that made my heart so happy was I asked the kids how they did, and they said, it was a lot easier to understand, so that was really cool. So to be able to build something, especially for something like that, that was just a really cool moment. I'm not going to go too much, but this is some of the stuff I built just to save time, right? AI worksheet generator. With this, you can type in any subject that you would do, any grade. Again, this is something that probably took maybe a week to do, but instead of having to go on Teachers Pay Teachers, instead of having to go on some websites, I could just get these things out. If I was on prep and I realized I needed some, get these things out. I don't have it all here, but I can modify them by all sorts of things, by standards, differentiate and come out with 3 different models at the same time, customize certain kids' things. So if I want to put things they like, sports, books, TV shows, they still follow the standards, but the questions could be like that for practicing. This is an example of something. I don't teach rational numbers. I just an example, but you can see the questions are about Harry Potter and things like that, just as a practice thing. Lesson plan generator. For me, lesson plans were a lot when I first started. With this, I can even use, instead of looking at my curriculum book or all the things I'm going to show you how to do, I can literally find the standard. I can actually go find my curriculum if I need it. I plug it all in, and then it generates in 2 minutes. Didn't I go in? I thought we had it, sorry. And then it will generate a lesson plan. We might have skipped that one. Anyway, you'll get a full generation. This is a bunch of data. I'm a big data stats guy, that's why I didn't teach for 10 years. But I didn't want to put too much stuff, but this is just a heat map, so I can see both individually and overall how the class is doing, so what I need to focus on, what I might need to work on more. It really saved me a lot of time with other things, really, and then I can actually also give students individual extra help just based on what they might be struggling with or not. This was just for me as a new thing. I built myself a little teaching coach. I can ask it any kind of questions I want. Just different things to help me, especially when I get stuck. Parent conference prep. This I haven't used yet because I didn't start building it till this year, but I'm excited to see how it's going to go this year. I've done parent conferences twice, so I've had notes and stuff. Thankfully, they've all gone pretty good, but I felt like this might help. I also can make it a little more parent-friendly, so it's easier for me to discuss things. This is a couple things the students get. Sorry about this was something. So this is the students in 3rd grade that do opinion writing now. So this is a practice for opinion writing. A lot of times my students will come to me and they'll say, I'm done. Okay, well, let's look at this. So first thing I did is I put a 51 word minimum, which we then updated. And then, so you can see from these things, they would come to me and say, well, let's look at the meters, okay? So your main idea, that's great. Your writing's pretty organized, but what's going on down here? We need to use some interesting words and, purposes of here, but spelling and grammar. So this way they can keep revising it, they can keep editing it, and it's almost, they get excited, it almost kind of becomes like a little game, can I get it all the way up kind of thing, And then when they submit it to me, and I'll go over it as they do it. So that was just one idea that kind of came around. Like I said, things just sort of happen. Okay, great. Let me just go through. I don't know if, maybe at the end, if we have time, I'll show you. This is from my website. It's just an interactive solar system where they can hit planets and things like that. Very cool. And just a couple realities, like I said, about vibe coding. I love it. I'm passionate about it. It's fun. I love to share. If anybody's interested afterward, I'll give you my contact information. I'd love to collaborate. But the reality is, it does cost time. It costs money. It costs time to do it. Depending on what you want to do. But it's just not the be-all, end-all. And it's not a magic. It's not a magic thing. It's not a flawless weapon. You're not going to put something in and you're going to get something great. The better you get at it, the quicker it becomes, the more you learn. But there is a learning curve, and of course, I think most importantly, because there's a lot of there's a lot of different things, but it's not replacing human logic. It's not replacing testing. It's not. I even use things that grade, but then I go over it again. It's important not to lose track of, and I made this mistake a little bit first. It's just completely trusting that everything it's going to do is going to be right on point. All right, so what we're going to build today, we're going to do a word problem wizard. Danielle has sent you the link. We're going to go to the Google AI Studio. Basically, the idea of it is you're going to be able to put in your grade level, the standard or the subject you'd like to teach, maybe something that your students are interested in, make it a little more engaging, and then from there. And it won't look exactly like this, but thank you. But the idea is to come up with something a lot more, kind of interesting and stuff. I know everybody is not a math teacher. I didn't think about that until a couple days ago because it's hard to find something. But go back one more. One more. Other one. Next one. Next one. There we go. So,
Caramba.
I got it. Okay. Science. Yeah. So I don't know if you're not a math teacher. I can help you too. We're going to build the basic one, and we should have plenty of time. But so for this one, but this is a very easy prompt, right? Can we add other subjects such as science? How would that work? Could we make science practice worksheets as well using all state grades? And now it have math and science for actually instead of just math, right? So you can always add, adjust things, which is great. You can take things away. Really, there's so many things you can do, and again, without kind of coding. All right. So Danielle, you gave everybody the thing. All right. So you should, if everybody goes to that link first, you'll go to Build with Google AI Studios, and you'll want to click Get Started.